Hello everyone, this is Big Benedict. I have my Tonfa equipped. We're playing Ninja Gaiden 2 on Master Ninja difficulty with Advanced Tactics. This is Chapter 9. One chapter before we'll be taking on Elizabeth in the next chapter for that boss fight. Elizabeth Part 1, that is. And this is the jungle. It's called Heart of Darkness. Okay, so they start you out here with Nimpo, and what you want to do after this initial battle is to just go ahead and drop the Nimpo one time on these two enemies that are going to be across the way here. Don't hesitate to use the Nimpo because you will get it back killing the mines. So just target those two guys right there, and then what you want to do is switch to the Dragon Sword so you can extend your leap or charge right there, and then come on over to here. And I'm gonna have to, well, I'm not gonna apologize. See, got the Nimpo back right there. I'm not gonna apologize for what I have to do here, but there's gonna be probably 4 or 5 long sections in this chapter where I have to speed it up to the fastest possible clip that I can produce, because otherwise it's just way too boring to watch, way too tedious to narrate, and just too time consuming overall. So I was going to what was I going to do? I was going to see if I could have the means to figure out whether these enemies were going to stop spawning. I was going to shoot them all until, they all stop spawning, but I figured, that it's just too time consuming. I don't have that kind of time in my life. But what you want to do is just move forward after you kill some mines. You'll know the mines are dead when all the essence comes into you, and also you can verify it by glancing at Miramas's shop. If it's dim, then you can move forward. You're just going to have to move forward. So the basic premise here is to just shoot a group of mines and then move forward. And then this guy here usually signifies the way over to the left. And then you're going to have 2 more guys shooting rocket launchers at you over here. So if you're under the water, their rockets can't hit you. So what I'm going to do is just swim right up to the ramp. And the next section after the save point is my favorite part of this level. I really don't care for this level too much overall. It's got some enemies that don't really require any skill to beat. I like enemies where oh, there's 3 guys up here. My bad. I like figuring out a lot of lag up here too. I like applying a lot of finesse and skill to battles, but like with the death worms and the mines and it's going to be an edit right here because I fell off on purpose. Well, not on purpose, but I noticed that there are some arrows on a course right over here, so go figure. But if you want to, here's the thing that I don't understand. They have searchlights up here. If you shoot the searchlights before you jump into this hole, then into the water down here, when you jump back over here, the searchlights just turn back on. So it doesn't make any sense. I've never understood it. Okay, so there's going to be also 2 sections where I just don't do the encounters. The incendiary daggers are better suited to be used over here, because when you're going to be dealing with the robot mechanisms, they cannot be destroyed with daggers. So it's better to use the daggers on the rocket launcher enemies, and then save your Nimpo for I don't know what they're called. They're those robots. I'll just call them that for a lack of a better word. So what you're doing here is you're just pirouetting here on the water in figure 8s, and just throwing daggers. It takes 2 daggers per kill. Look for those Nimpo drops. If you are using Nimpo, look for the health drops. And then I will be going over all the chests, like I guess where they are and what they contain, and how best to utilize them. But I did this section. I spent about an hour trying to do different ways of doing this. Like I went through all the huts and tried to do it. I wish there was a stealth aspect to this game. I really wish there were. Like, taking out the searchlights, one would think that you could be stealthy over here, but it has no bearing on the outcome. Just watch out for these guys. Sometimes you'll be standing at literally like right next to a spawn point, and another of these enemies will drop in. Here's some arrows, and you're just gonna take you are gonna take damage. So don't worry about taking damage here and there. It's all going to regenerate when you get the cutscene. Okay, so our health regenerated, but it looks like we have some more rocket launcher enemies over there to the right. See, I don't know what he's pointing to. How it just auto-aimed right there. Auto-aimed again. I wish if they remade a game like this, like on the PS4 or the Xbox One, if the better graphics and have some stealth aspects. This would be awesome to just stealth this entire area here, with the penalty of having to actually do all these encounters. With all these sirens going off if you fail. But anyway, now we have these guys, and I would recommend manually aiming. So make sure you move the left analog stick when you're casting the Nimpo, just to make sure you're targeting these guys correctly. Sometimes the game will fire at things that aren't targets. That chest right there will give you either a Devil Way Mushroom or one piece of essence, just depending on what your inventory is, and also depending on what your key gauge is reflecting at the time when you open the box. So there will be plenty of Nimpo, provided you haven't used any Nimpo killing the rocket launcher enemies. There's going to be that one dropper that we just got, plus this drop here that'll completely fill your Nimpo. So you've got a lot, especially if you've used the Spirit of the Devils and you have 4 flames in your key gauge. I only have 3. But this is a mandatory fight, and once you kill, see how the gate, it just passed over there. See the gate? It's half down. It'll lower all the way once you kill all these enemies, and then once you do the little mini puzzle or whatever it is, then you will be you'll have the option to fight more of these things if you want to. I wouldn't recommend it because it's just laborious and just an exercise in futility. I did say that I was going to leave no head unsevered, but sometimes I'm just going to pass things up, and sometimes I want to do things one way, but the game unspawns enemies on me, so there's nothing I can do about it, because when I play this game, I want to play it my way. So there are other options. You can shoot these guys with arrows. It's hard though, since they're so mobile. We should get a cutscene right over here. Here's the cutscene. And now feel free to go one by one and get all the boxes. So I'm going to start at the very, what is to our left right now. I'm going to start from the very left and get all the boxes. Now this chest up here, interestingly, is a dynamic chest, meaning it has one thing and one thing only. It has this. So it never gives out health orbs. It should have given me out health orbs ordinarily if it were a static chest. But like I said, it's a dynamic chest, not a static chest. This one will give you blue orbs. I think it might also give you a healing item if memory serves. There's a dead end. Over here we have Life of the Gods number 6 of 18, so we need 3 more for that health upgrade. And then you just want to proceed down here, get some more arrows if you need to. I might as well, since I'm half depleted of the arrows. And there is that box with the Nimpo. Another box with Nimpo. Do your wall run over here. There's a course with a small healing item. And this chest here will give you 1,000 in essence or fish. So you want to charge your attack. Unless you want to do melee attacks on those guys and possibly get some nympho essence, that's your own prerogative. And another reason also, and this is not a cop-out or anything, but another reason I'm not going to be fighting these guys, see, they're going to come out right over here, and there's a lot of them. Another reason I don't fight these guys is because I'm always paranoid that my game is going to freeze on me, as it does daily, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day. And since there's no save point for a very long time, that was bullshit. Did you see that? Getting hit in a cutscene. That's almost worse than like Resident Evil 6. It wasn't an official cutscene, but it was like an interactive thing. Fuck, I was so messed up. Okay, so we have some mines down here. Oh, they're still shooting at me. Okay, over to the left. Don't forget about that. You could save that chest if you. Oh, you don't need to save it. It's not. It's another one of those dynamic chests. So disregard the mines. Just don't miss that jump right there, or you'll fall right on them and take massive damage. And then when you come up here, you're going to be facing some more artillery ninjas. Don't go all the way over by the cable, because then the rocket launcher enemies will shoot you. And that's also another reason I don't want to fight those robots. I mean, if you want to go for the Master Ninja rank, you're going to have to, as well as do the Test of Valor. But I've already done the Test of Valor, and I mean, I'm enough heads are rolling in my gameplay that I don't mind having some enemies on spawn and also not fighting some guys. Anyway, what you don't want to do is you don't want to jump towards that cable, because sometimes Ryu will clutch onto it. See, I'm gonna dash rather than jump there. Many a time have I jumped, dangled onto the cable, and they shoot me right off the cable, and I take damage unnecessarily. There really is nothing worse than taking damage that you know you shouldn't have received because you're just a little impatient or reckless. But anyway, in the previous video I mentioned that I wasn't going to be upgrading the scythe to level 3, and I changed my mind about that because I forgot that I do actually use the scythe on the mid-level boss for this chapter, as well as for Dagra Die. So there's the save point. I did a parry right there. Now I'm going to head over to the chest. The thing about this chest, though, it'll give you 1,000, or it will give you fish that come out not in a stream, but in different patterns. So I would just take that money. Just take the money and run, because you're going to get so much money on this chapter. I started with about 86,000 after I went through the save point, and then after I defeated the death worm, or excuse me, it's not the death worm, it's the Amazonian. Yeah, it's the Amazonian death worm. But this is going to be sped up until the point where I start going into the doors. Well, they're not really doors, but the cave entrances. I'm going to be like every time, just all of this shit here where I'm just grinding for money. It's not really grinding for money. It's just taking out all the enemies in the best way possible, so that you get the most fiscal gain. So what you need to do is just do UTs on all of these guys. Make sure you absorb the essence, meaning that you just let the money come into you. But just be careful down here. So I actually haven't upgraded my scythe to level 3 at this point in my gameplay. It won't be until the next save point. And I'll explain why I had to run past the battle after the save point. But I was actually going to fight those death worms, but when I went back, they weren't there. But anyway, this is going to slow down once I start going into the room, so I could show you. just exactly what they all contain. But there really is nothing I can do except fast forward this. It's just too much. It takes too long. Just one thing to note about this weapon's UT: when he stops, when he does that flame attack and he stops, if you have any of these bugs around you, they're going to try to jump on you. So don't focus on collecting the money right away. Focus on evading, preferably in the opposite direction of any enemies, because they'd love to just pounce on you the second you're vulnerable. Okay, so this should slow down right over here. This is the first room right here. It has 2 egg sacs, one of which is a money sack. All those, they contain 1,000 in essence. It's easy to get turned around here, and as much as I disagree with all Hayashi's decisions, this is an empty room right here, I'm just showing you. As much as I disagree with all Hayashi's decisions, I do think that ninja sense is a good addition to Sigma 2. It is a linear game, but it is nice to be pointed in the right direction. So there's a money room, or not a money room, a health room right there. Now continuing on our way to the left is a room that's, I believe it's empty, an empty room. And then over here to the right, you're going to get more items than you need, but by the time you face the death worm, you'll have all your items maxed out. At least in your immediate inventory, where the health bar is and the key gauge. Okay, so now you're going to have to back off. I think I might... Okay, yeah, I'm just going to avoid these guys. The problem with the bugs and the death worms that we'll be fighting afterwards, they can't... When you hit them, they don't get stunned. So whenever you're dealing with an enemy like that, they're essentially just quote unquote tanking all of your hits, and it makes dealing with them extremely frustrating. And less about skill, in my opinion, because whenever an enemy doesn't reel back and stun, it kind of contradicts the combat system in this game, because it's dependent on you stunning the enemies with your attacks, because they can stun you. Why can't you stun them? You know. But this room is an empty room that spawns with those bugs. So if you have to, just charge off attacks right there. And there are many more rooms that I'm showing you here. But by the time the death worm comes in, I'm not comfortable moving around in the immediate hallway, because that guy, if he catches you, your ass is dead. So I don't have I don't have a talisman of rebirth equipped. Hell, I don't even have one, so I have to be extremely careful. And normally my scythe is at level 3, but it's only at level 2 here, so it took a little bit more doing to take him out. And I'm even going to have to speed up the boss battle, because it's completely laborious. But here the music should change, and what you're doing is staying in the corner, and it's mainly about listening, because by the time you actually see him with your eyes pass by, he's in a dust cloud. So you really need to hit him like right as he's passing by. So timing is everything there. And I honestly can't really say like what sound is the trigger. I think it's less about it's even less about sound and more about like timing your hit after you hear like after, like when you can hear the music coming, when you can hear the actual guy coming closest to you. If you've got a good set of speakers, you could hear it. Just don't go in the immediate hallway. That's all I could say. And I was thinking to myself, because there are achievements for beating the game with every weapon. What I've always wanted to do is do a dragon sword run only, like only use the dragon sword. And I was thinking to myself, like, how the fuck would I beat that guy with just the sword? You know, I'd have to. Wow, that'd be tough. But anyway, what I was going to do here was, I tried for about 45 minutes to do that fight with scythe UTs, but those things go down a lot quicker with the level 3 scythe. So what I planned to do was hit the save point, then go shopping, upgrade my scythe, and then come back. I honestly didn't think that they would unspawn, you know. But they did unspawn, so I actually made an attempt to come back and deal with those death worms, but they weren't there when I came back. So that's a large healing item right there. So that gave me 7,000 since I have maxed out health and maxed out inventory of the grains of spiritual life. Here's a double wave mushroom right here, and this jewel of the demon seal. I would apply it to the void so that you could take out the boss without breaking a sweat. And then in the next chapter, we'll be able to upgrade the art of the wind blades, which it'll really come in handy on the staircase fight. So getting that void, there's going to be one more jewel of the demon seal in the next chapter. So you should have all of the main magics upgraded except for the Flame Phoenix, which if you play on Master Ninja, you don't use that anyway. The only way in this game to get all of the techniques mastered is to do the other two Tests of Valor, which yield those jewels of the demon seal. I think one of them might be on this stage, but I have them all in my playlists on my channel. Oh yeah, this is important to know here. What you want to do is, since it's a lot easier to get killed facing those blood eels, what you want to do is jump in the water like I did first, and then go and kill these guys here. These are the chainsaw zombies. Officially, they're called the chainsaw bazooka zombies since they have both of those weapons on their person. And I'm going to be sniping these guys pretty much from here on out. But what you can do is, what I like to do is shoot the gun off of them so that the gun disappears, and then they're just walking around with a chainsaw and not as deadly, except if you're within melee range of them. It doesn't always work though, although it usually works that way. Like usually if you shoot the gun area, the gun will fall off, but sometimes I shoot the gun dead center and the chainsaw falls off. So here's the $50,000 item. You might want to pick that up. And the rest of the video after the cutscene is going to be sped up, but I did warn you about that. This is still about a 25-minute video, but it would have been easily an hour-long video otherwise, and nobody has that kind of time to just throw away. So equip your void, and I'm just going to sit back here and snipe. It takes 2 arrows to kill these guys. Even if you do a headshot, they're still going to be walking around just without a head. So what I like to do is just take out the gun and then take out them. No matter, usually I go for a torso shot just because that's the largest area on their body. There is a corpse in the water across the way, although the only thing that he has is a crystal skull, but I've already got it a long time ago. In fact, I go down here to investigate it, just forgetting what he had. I thought he had an actual item. But yes, the arrow UTs are very effective here, and you'll still get your 1050 per kill. And the boss for this chapter, we have 2 Quetzalcoatl's So if you have your void up to level 3, like I do, and like you should, it only takes 2 voids to kill 1 quizetical, and there are a 2 count of that particular enemy. And it's very easy, but even the quizeticals have fucking lackeys. So I'm just going to ignore the lackeys. The most important thing to realize here, though, so that you don't waste your Nympho, is just wait until they stop flying around. You might think to yourself you can still hit them when they're flying around. You can, but it's a lot more difficult. Plus, you're going to waste magic. You don't want to waste anything in this game. So there's some mandatory damage. What I do not like doing here is using any healing items. So you're not going to see me heal no matter what, because this fight only lasts like a minute at the most. So there is damage. See? Damage. Oh wait, I did use a heal. Did I? No. No, I was pretty firm on that. I missed him. We'll be facing one of these guys again in the next chapter, and they'll be just as easy because the void just decimates these guys. And it's wonderful. But next up we'll have chapter 10. I really hope you enjoyed this chapter, even though a lot of it was sped up. But anyway, it was enjoyable for me, and I hope it was for you too. Thanks. Take care.